Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of conversation, self-love, self-care, mental health care and protection, life lessons, love lessons, and everything in between. Today we have a special guest, Miss Yamika Stevens, and she's going to talk to us about the benefits of yoga in the brain. I'm Lady Bounce.
I'm A Slate.
All right, so Miss Yamika.
Yes, thank you for having me here.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
I'm ready. All right. So look, the first things first. Well, I'm fat, so I can't do yoga.
What? Untruth.
No, I'm fat. I can't do yoga.
And I'm pregnant. I can't do it either. Both untrue. Those are two myths that we think we can't do. And that's an image of yoga that we see. Sometimes we may not see ourselves in images or pictures that are depicted on social sites or social media or anything, or even sometimes a book that we can't find that image of, our voluptuous shapes. That's right.
Or,
the image of us expecting life.
Yeah.
That yoga has. But those are two untruths. And I can tell you otherwise that I'm no skinny mini. And I've been practicing yoga for about 13 years. And I have a 7-month-old, and I did yoga throughout my whole pregnancy.
What?
So I
can do. I knew
yes.
I seen a picture of her pregnant in a pose, but I was like,
yeah,
she's just stretching.
No, I did yoga throughout my entire pregnancy. Actually, I was active all the way up until 8.5 months. So, and yoga was one form of exercise that I've done regularly, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, most days out of the week. So, you can practice being an expected mom, and you can practice yoga whatever size you are.
On a serious note, I do know that you can do yoga pregnant, and I've heard that it's beneficial to do yoga to aid in delivery because of the stretching and the flexibility and so you open yourself up to
not only the physical aspects of it, the actual mental aspects of it, because I was laboring for hours, like a day and a half with nothing. So the breathing aspect or part of yoga definitely helps you focus so much on how you breathe.
Yeah.
And how you execute those breaths instead of those hard laboring contractions that you experience, especially when they spike. Because I was having 3-minute contractions at a time. You can see it. And stay up there for 3 whole minutes. It's stand up there 3 whole minutes. You just like,
yeah.
So the focus definitely helps. The breathing helps you push through those hard pains, push through the threshold of painness to alleviate some pain, although there's no alleviation until the laboring part is over.
That sounds
but
like
it
life.
Definitely it definitely helps you through the process.
So with us being stressed out sometimes, needing moments of self-care, it sounds like yoga can help us push through the process of everyday living with different techniques.
Yes, it can.
So how did you start? What made you say, hey, I'm going to try yoga instead of versus like maybe walking, jogging, swimming, or anything else? Why yoga?
Contrary to that belief, actually, I was doing the other parts, walking, jogging, and doing all those other parts. Yoga wasn't a modality of exercise that I would chose. It was chosen for me and presented as an opportunity to teach it at Sinclair. The chair at the time needed yoga instructor. And so she's like, I'll give it to you. You get certified, you find how you're going to, teach in your way, shadow the other professors that are doing it. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
It sounds like your gift made room for you.
Exactly.
As we often say.
Absolutely.
Your gifts will make room for you.
Absolutely. Your purpose will be on purpose for you, whether you accept it or not. And in that time, I needed that purpose to fulfill my purpose and what I needed in the moment. And at that time, I needed yoga to be implemented in my life from the personal things that I was going through at the time and experiencing a lot of disruption, a lot of chaos in a sense of what you're not in control of. You can't control, but you can find a way to live through it, not survive or exist through it, but a way to live through all this madness that is in your life right now. And that was the time that I needed.
Sound like some bombs.
I'm like, I was just thinking, like, are we in church right now? Because I swear to God, the preacher is speaking to me. Like,
Yes.
okay, get out of my head and out of my life. Like,
Yes.
and thinking about, we often talk about, exercise being part of self-care. And we know that there are major benefits to yoga. How do you find the time? You're a wife, you're a mother, you own your business, you're a teacher. How do you find the time when you're not teaching to practice your yoga and your self-care?
Listen, time is created for a reason. You just have to figure out what time you're going to use it.
Ooh.
There's no excuse for you
Come through.
not to have time. Time is there. You create your own time, and emphasis on how you're going to use time in your lifestyle. So it's up to you to decide how you're going to use and create your time for self-care or to practice yoga. So in my sense, I figured time is of essence. We all hear that. It's just how you use it and how you take advantage of the opportunity. How much time is there in a day, and how much time will you take to say yes to you, that I'm going to carve this amount of time to care for myself. Doesn't matter how much time it is. Just know that you got the time. Just accept yourself to say, yes, I'm going to take these 5 minutes. 5 minutes is relative to your day because you can take those 5 minutes. After those 5 minutes are gone, they're gone. You can't take them back.
Right.
So in a moment that you need something to care for yourself, that's your opportunity to take that time. So to answer your question, how do you find time? I create the time because it's always there.
She's making us accountable. We all get the same 24 hours in a day.
I know, and
you just said it.
You're always telling me that.
You're this and you're that, and you're doing all of this, and she like, and I make time too.
Right.
How about that?
And as soon as she said that, I this is what I heard. Lady Bounce, stop playing. You got time. That time that you was eating that donut, you had time.
But you was eating it in silence, doing your self-care.
I
so
ate
now
it in
you can
silence.
add yoga to that.
Right, but I should have been stretching instead of eating the donut. But the donut was
We just
good.
keep calling yoga stretching. It's
It
more
was good.
to it than that, right?
Well,
It's
no,
more to it
it's
than
a
that.
lot more. But I'm just saying,
to it.
in that 5 minutes I ate the donut, I could have done a stretch or two.
A donut sounds delicious.
Doesn't it?
Stay focused.
Yeah,
Okay.
So what about? So speaking about donuts, shout out.
Shout out to J Dilla Donuts. It's the month of J Dilla, the month of February.
All right, J Dilla.
I'm just saying, come through donuts. Okay.
Okay, we really reminisce over you. Wasn't his music, but still, he's a music mogul. Love,
Absolutely.
much love. But speaking of donuts, what does it matter what our diet is like to do yoga?
It doesn't matter.
I'm just doing yoga to keep my head in a good space. So can I eat whatever I want?
No, because if you're feeding your body with toxins, how can you continue to feed your head with goodness?
I like this.
Because that will over trump how much toxins you're feeding to your body naturally to get rid of what you need mentally. It has to be in line and it has to connect. Your body is a wholeness to greatness. So,
Honey, you need a t-shirt brand. Okay. All these quotes coming out. Come on.
okay, your body is wholeness to greatness. So you can't be great with feeding yourself unhealthy things. So it has to be a way for you to rejuvenate your body from within to elude what you need to expend out, because you can't continue to hold in the toxins and just say, I need a mental day.
Yeah.
Well, you need a physical day too.
Yeah. Yes. I love it.
So it has to connect all the way around. What we must understand is the type of things that we consume orally, physically, mentally, and even how we breathe affects the whole cycle and how you live.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there are not natural things that would be parallel to how you're supposed to live, you can't live efficiently and effectively. And I'm talking about, healthy living in those parts. Then those would go against the grain on how you live. So you would constantly have this battle of
counterbalance.
Yeah. So there has to be some balance there. So to answer your question, does what we eat matter? Yes. It does. It does.
We still need that T-shirt print.
Absolutely. But, as you were talking about, your diet is everything that you intake. There's a famous poet named Saul Williams, and he was on a radio show, and he talked about that your diet is not just what you consume with your mouth. It is the social media things that you take in, what you see. So in our age of information is at your fingertips, and a lot of times it's all bad. Where do you find a balance out between staying in the real world, staying in the know with the news, but also kind of shielding yourself from like those negative things, images? Because it's out here.
Yeah, by listening to what I need. And this is actually what helps you through the practice of yoga, since we're talking about yoga, because yoga allows you to filter out unwanted things and keep what you need for yourself for inner healing and peace. So there's a filtering process that needs to be met. One, some of us don't operate on common sense of use of discernment, because everybody got it. It's whether you're going to use it or not.
Now we at church.
Everybody says,
right, wait a minute,
I got good discernment. Well, everybody got discernment. It's just whether you use it or not, and how you use it. Being able to filter out the negative things is using your discernment. That means that energy or something told me. Yeah, something told everybody. But it's how you're going to listen. Listen, and how you respond, especially when it comes to emotional responses. Our emotional intelligence is very much so heightened when you're practicing listening still and being quiet. Receive the message and learn how to filter out those things that are unwanted, whether it's through nonverbal. Because we pick up energy from nonverbal cues.
Definitely.
You pick more of that up than actually someone saying something to you.
Absolutely.
Because energy is kinesthetic. Energy never dies. So that energy can be dropped off to you. That person leave, but that energy is still there. So if you are at a point where you don't have an open mind to wholeness and healthiness and healthy living in your lifestyle, that energy that was just dropped, you become vulnerable and you inhale. Remember I talked about the breathing mechanism of yoga? You inhale that energy. So now that energy becomes a part of you.
That is so true. And thinking about the work that I do with the students that I work with the males especially, I end up finding myself doing a lot of teaching about the social cues and about the exchange of energy. Yeah. Because, our kids are hyper driven by what they see or by what they hear, and they think this is how I'm supposed to live or this is how I'm supposed to be, especially as it relates to our young men and sex and girls, and they think that I'm supposed to conquer every girl that I see. But then the girls are like, he was stalking me or he was following me around, because they're not reading the social cues that the young ladies give out. And also in talking to my young ladies about, you got to be careful about what energy you're putting out here to these boys that are making them react in this way. So I think, what you said is very important about having that emotional intelligence and, the power of discernment and protecting your energy, protecting the energies that you give out and protecting the energies that you take in. Yes. Because you don't want to expend a lot of your energy for somebody who's not worthy of it. I mean, I don't want to say like worthy of it, but there are some things that I think that we give energy and attention to that we should leave on the table, or we should leave it right where it is. Absolutely. So having that filter is very important. So now I'm talking to myself. I'm gonna have to really, really get on my breathing, because a lot of times I take on the energy and take on these things from my students because I do care so much. So I'm taking on stuff that I know isn't good for me, but I always feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is part of my role of being, the resident mom or the resident auntie and the educator. And then sometimes being depleted at the end of the day or the end of the week because I've given out so much and I've taken in so much of their negativities or like their pains and stuff. And then I really I have to recenter myself.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to start incorporating, some yoga aspects into it.
Yes.
I got to start slow.
Yes. Yes.
What are some ways where we could start slow? Say we want to add in a moment of meditation to recenter, to balance. Is it a small step a beginner can take to get started?
Yeah, I always say there's elements to get there. There are important factors on getting there. One is showing up. Another is your vulnerability being open. And being able to relax and breathe. If you have all those elements, you're ready. You're open and ready at any moment, at any given time. In your car, in the grocery store,
In the car.
You could be doing it right now in the midst of us talking,
how
and
can
I
we-
not
how
know
can we
it
do it right
by
now? What will we
simply
do?
breathing. We talked about posture
Yes.
before we even
that.
started. It goes there. Okay, posture and alignment. Okay, when you're open and in a physical aspect, so let's think of the physical aspect. Okay, your posture allows you to be open.
Yeah.
Okay, through the spine. Okay, so you're now alert. The body is alert. It's telling you that you're about to do something or continue to do something.
Is it something we can do right now? Let's do it together. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Sitting up nice and tall.
First, I have to put my
Yeah.
feet flat, right?
Yep. Feet are flat. The most important thing when I talked about being relaxed, be relaxed. Draw those shoulders down. Just relax the shoulders. All right. We're always so tense in what we're doing and not thinking about how we're doing it and then how it affects us physically. Okay. Which in turns affect us internally.
Now, I do notice that there are different times where, like, because I wear glasses and I wear, a headband most days. So I'll take off my headband, and then there are times where I can feel my head relax, like where my glasses touch.
Because
I'm like, that's
it's so
weird.
tightened.
Right. So it's so tight, like all
Yes.
day. And I'm like, I didn't even realize it was like that tight. Or like my glasses they're comfortable, but then there are times where I can feel like the muscles behind my ears relax where it's hold my glasses
Absolutely.
up. I was like, that's so
just
weird.
like that. So just aligning yourself effectively and where you need to be physically allows the body to open, allows the body to feel those senses, those neural senses that need to connect. With you being so tight and restricted, you're restricted on how those neurotransmitters need to transmit and communicate with each other, especially from the spine. And we have all those neural activities going to each other and to the hips, up the back, through the shoulders, the neck, through the head. We talk about the head and how all those sensors tell you what you need. They're not going to tell you if you restrict them. So that's just from practicing sitting up straight. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I always say, make yourself uncomfortable to be comfortable. So if you know me, I always say that. Make yourself uncomfortable to be comfortable, because we're always practicing something that was in practice bad behavior and never corrected. So when you're corrected, it becomes uncomfortable. So now you have to move through that uncomfortableness to reteach yourself how to be comfortable. And that's just through something simple as sitting upright properly in your chair. So when you do that, you allow yourself to breathe the right way. So now the air and the oxygen can fully flow through the lungs. Aid your blood through good oxygen and air. You can breathe properly. So now your systems are just able to function and flow just from breathing properly.
So we can just take a minute in our
just
car.
Take a minute.
Sit up straight.
Sit up straight.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
So we can do that before we even pull up.
Loosen the grip on the stern wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Relax those shoulders.
10 and 2. No. White knuckle grip.
Yes.
10 and 2 white knuckle grip.
Yeah. And just simply breathe. Those are just basic steps to that.
Sounds like breathing get us through a lot. Just simply breathe.
Listen.
Simply breathe.
Breathing will save your life.
Even before we get upset when we done took on
things.
somebody else's energy, taking a deep breath before we speak could even
Yes.
These are simple self-care.
Just simple.
I like it.
Self-care.
Yes, very simple.
So speaking of
our
simple
self-care.
self-care moments, we're gonna go right into
Get it.
we in alignment. We in alignment. Sitting up straight
Sit
now.
up
We are in alignment. So Thank you, Yamika, for
You're welcome.
giving us a very basic yoga pose, which is sitting up straight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because I can't breathe better.
My grandma
like
would be so proud right now.
Yeah, mine wouldn't, because these ankles ain't crossed, and there's a lot that goes into that. But our self-care assignment for the week is learn some basic yoga poses. Yoga is an ancient Indian practice that has become very popular around the world for both physical and spiritual well-being. By using methods of breathing and postures, yoga is believed to improve overall health, reduce anxiety, promote relaxation and flexibility, and increase self-awareness. Right, like I've learned more about myself just sitting up straight. Like, you can breathe better, girl. Go at your own pace and focus on matching your breath with the movements. You will come out feeling refreshed and centered. Every yoga instructor will tell you not to do more than you are comfortable doing. But as Yamika said, you got to make yourself uncomfortable to be comfortable.
I like it.
So that's our self-care assignment for the week, is learn some basic yoga poses. And speaking of that, if they wanted to learn some basic yoga poses, where can they find you?
They can find me. I'm currently doing yoga classes at Central State Dayton campus the first and third Saturday of each month at Central State Dayton campus at 11 to 12, 1 hour.
Okay.
We go through some yoga warm-ups, through a nice yoga flow, through yoga stretches into meditation, all in an hour.
So we got Central State West, and then where can they find you on social media?
Social media, Yamika Stevens, or YLS Fitness and Exercise Coaching is the business page. I'm also on Instagram.
All right, shout out Instagram. We all love pictures, and you will see. You can easily learn some basic yoga poses by going to Yamika Stevens on Instagram.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're going to keep that in mind and move on over to our mindfulness minute. Our mindfulness minute of the week is setting personal health goals. The quote says, I do not force myself to conform to an idealized body image. I form a picture of health that is unique to me alone, and I make that my goal. As Yamika said, we're looking on, we don't typically see our fluffy selves in the magazines, on TV, and in these other social media realms as the face of yoga. However, we tend to get our ideas about health from published articles and pictures. Some of these ideas can be useful, but they also portray idealized versions of reality. The airbrush pictures of models with perfect bodies leads to despondency instead of inspiration. We have to move from asking what is healthy in general to asking what is healthy for me at this point in my life. Yes. If you don't have any healthy goals, think about the time in your life when you felt best emotionally and physically. Sort them one by one to determine if they are legitimate concerns when you have concerns. And if you have any chronic conditions, make adaptations. But do not let your health problems become an excuse for not exercising at all, as this only leads to further deterioration. And we are not here to deteriorate. We are here to grow, to flourish and grow. You know.
I absolutely know, because of what I do for a living, I realize I have to be here for that. So I have to take control of my mental and physical health so that I can be here, because this gift I have is making room and opening doors that only I can open. So I got to be here to open those doors and come through.
Go ahead, plant that tree firm, stand up straight, spread them roots. Yes. And while you doing that, you done had your self-care assignment for the week. You done did that. Yes. You done took your mindfulness minute every single day. You taking your deep breaths intentionally. But we always have to get outside of ourselves and get over to our brain science.
All right. So first, I like to say thank you, Miss Yamika. As you were talking about those neurotransmitters, all I kept thinking in my head is come through brain science. Okay. So, in piggybacking off of that, 6 ways yoga changes your brain. So we know it gets these bodies together, but did you know it gets this brain together? The most important muscle you have. So first, your brain gets flooded with feel-good chemicals. You've heard before that your head gets slim with dopamine and oxytocin when you have an orgasm, making you more creative and lively in the long run. While you might not think it feels good, similar things happen when you are in the position of downward facing dog.
Yes.
Which is a famous yoga pose. I'm sorry. All right. So number 2, the cortisol levels in your brain drop. Everything about yoga, from the slow, steady breathing to the inversions, can help lower the amount of cortisol in your brain. Cortisol is a monster of a hormone that appears when you are stressed. It activates your brain's amygdala, known as your fear center, that fight, flight, or fright motion. Boom. Number 3, multiple sections of your brain grow in size. Controlling how you breathe allows your brain to develop normally and naturally, and it shows your brain gets bigger. Yes. What? Dig that. Number 4, the gray matter density in your brain changes. Gray matter is where your thoughts, ideas, and creativity come from. So we want to increase that as much as possible. Yoga and its breathing does just that. Oh my God. All right. So there's more cortical folding in your brain. So your brain has its natural folds and ridges that we know of. Increasing your cortical increases the folds in your brain, thus helping your brain to further expand and help the gray matter expand. And last but not least, your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. So there are 2 divisions of your autonomic nervous system. Oh, that was a big word. Which produces your fight or flight response when your back is against the wall. Your parasympathetic nervous system is also called the rest and digest part of your body. So think of your parasympathetic brain as your best friend that helps you calm down that fight or flight response. Boom.
Take a deep breath
Love it.
and stretch.
Take a deep breath and stretch.
Yes.
So we'd like to thank you again for coming. I learned some new things. Did you learn something new?
A lot. And I'm going to be sitting up for the rest of the week.
Sitting up like this?
Yeah.
I'm sitting like this. I'm gonna let all the curves flow.
So we're going to take that striker pose to a whole nother level.
I love it.
Strike a do it.
Strike a pose with Yamika. Oh, that could be our new series. Strike a pose with Yamika.
Okay. I got that.
So please,
do that.
Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
Please continue to fly with us this week. Practice your yoga, practice your breathing, practice your filtering, your protecting your energies, if you will.
Don't forget to check Yamika Stevens out on Facebook and Instagram.
And then you can find us
on Facebook,
SoundCloud,
Instagram,
YouTube,
Twitter,
Anchor.
All right.
I was like, wait a minute. And as always, you can email us at flywithusla@gmail.com. I'm Lady Bounce.
And I am A Slate.
And this is Yamika.
And we out of here.
That was beautiful.
It was.